Hello everyone, we're back with another Invincible video, and today I got a good one for you. But before we start, if you're still with us, please like and subscribe so you can support the channel. You saw the title and you saw the thumbnail, let's hop right into it. Before I started season 3 of Invincible, there was an ongoing conversation about the situation between Mark and Cecil, with everyone taking side on who was right. But right about what? I'll gladly explain. But if you're already caught up with Invincible and you don't need any of the following rehashing of the following event, remember, on every video I make, I always have timestamps. So if you click this video with the goal of seeing how the Invincible War proves Cecil right, go to the following timestamps I have listed. Okay, are they gone yet? Alright. For those who don't know what I'm talking about or need a refresher, I'll gladly do so. What transpired between Mark and Cecil could be boiled down to two major key points. Two key points that stems from two moral dilemmas, which are, first, do horrible people deserve a second chance? And second, what Cecil did to Mark, was it necessary or was it too far? But before we get to that, let's tackle the first issue. Starting off, we're going to talk about why Mark confronted Cecil. During the Battle of Dark Seismic, it was revealed to Mark and the rest of the cast that Sinclair in Dark Ring 2 was working under Cecil. This was something that Mark was strongly opposed to, even though he was saved by them. But apparently that wasn't enough. I want to make it clear, I completely understand where Mark is coming from. Both Dark Ring and Sinclair did some horrible things. So I can see why seeing them work under Cecil feels like they're not getting what they deserve, which is justice. And I even understand how something like this could be inconsiderate to the victims who are involved. But my problem with Mark is that he's trying to uphold Cecil to this morally conventional standard that he himself is not abiding by. This standard being that if someone does wrong, they should be punished, especially if they was responsible for taking someone's life. And let's be real, Mark is not exempt from this. At this point within the season, he believes that he killed Angstrom, but we understand as the audience that Mark needed what he had to do. We also see this in Powerplex as he's the victim of the Chicago incident. Due to the fact he doesn't have the full understanding of the situation, he feels as though Mark is also responsible as Omni-Man. Even though you might disagree with Powerplex's conclusions, so do I, we can all agree who's really responsible for the lives taken in Chicago, and that person is Nolan, of course. And of anybody in the series that don't deserve a second chance, it's clearly Omni-Man. But we know even him is susceptible to change. Mark literally witnessed this firsthand. We see Mark at first glance completely understanding how a person can change and atone for their past atrocities. This is why I have to side with Cecil on this. When Cecil said that Sinclair and Dark Ring are too valuable to just throw away, I completely agree. But we're gonna talk about it later on in the video. But as of right now, if you look within that very episode, it's because of Sinclair's Reaniman and Dark Ring that it was able to survive that situation with Dark Seismic. And think about it, if rehabilitation and redemption is possible, why not strive for it? It would be a better use of our time if you completely change these individuals. Because just like Cecil said, they can make up for the lives they killed, for the lives they're gonna save. Because like it or not, they do owe us that debt. So yeah, I'm with Cecil on this. But Mark clearly disagrees. This leads us to our next problem. Okay, I gotta admit, this is way more of a complicated topic to discuss. But like always, I will always try to do my best to explain it. Cecil creating countermeasures to stop Mark isn't the issue, but how he did it was definitely a problem. But we need to ask ourselves, how did we get here? So after Mark finding out about Dark Ring 2 and Sinclair still working under Cecil, he decides to confront him. When he couldn't resolve the issue, he chose to follow Cecil until he got what he wanted, which is having Dark Ring and Sinclair put back into prison. Already, I should have to explain how problematic this is. Mark is the employee. He's acting way out of line right here. We have to understand that this isn't a democracy. Cecil is the boss. Whatever he says goes. But since Mark is too wrapped up in his emotions, he cannot see the bigger picture. Yes, I understand why Mark feels this way, but frankly, Mark is in no position to hold this opinion because he sounds like a hypocrite. He's mad at Darkwing for being out of prison because he killed somebody. Mark, you also killed someone. Yes, that was in self-defense, but look at your father. He killed multiple people. I'm not talking about the casualties who was part of the fight. I'm talking about how he literally went on his way to kill innocent bystanders. How you gonna not give people the opportunity to change and make amends what they did, even though you saw your father change before your eyes? So you draw the line at Sinclair and Dark Ring, but not your dad? Yeah, I call BS. So after Mark doesn't get his way, you know what he does? He follows him. Keep in mind, at this point, Mark is clearly the strongest person on this planet, and he's following Cecil while being highly emotional, leaning on the angry side. Imagine a prime Mike Tyson following you, being mad as hell. You're telling me you wouldn't be scared? Oh, okay then. So after being told to drop the conversation and leave, Mark clearly ignores this, continuing following Cecil to the White Room. This is where it was revealed that the white room was filled with reanimants. Cecil then tells Mark that this white room was for his protection, of course. Why? Because Mark is scaring the shit out of him. As Cecil explained, due to how powerful Mark is, he has to take extra precautions to protect himself. At this point, Cecil gave Mark multiple opportunities to de-escalate the situation and leave, but due to how hard-hearted Mark is, he doesn't drop it. So I want to ask this, if Cecil didn't have his reanimate on standby, do you understand how much riskier the situation would have been, especially from his perspective? We're talking about someone who, yes, is on the same side as Cecil, but still has unchecked powers, which inherently is dangerous. We forget, it doesn't take a year, it doesn't take a month, it doesn't take a week, it doesn't even take a day. Give this man 1 second to snap, who's gonna stop him? The immortal? Fuck no. So of course, I'll give Cecil credit in this regard, but this is where he crossed the line. When Mark once again continues to escalate the situation, Cecil then reveals he implanted something in Mark's brain that replayed the sound waves he heard from his trip to Atlantis. Basically, it's a dog wrestle for Viltrumites. This is of course where most people problem with Cecil lies. Why will Cecil do this? The truth is to keep control. Even though Mark has proven himself to be an ally from Cecil's perspective, this isn't enough, and at the end of the day, he can't see inside Mark's mind, right? No matter how well you know a person, they can always do something that can surprise you. And after the Chicago incident with Mark's dad, Omni-Man, Cecil cannot afford to take that risk again. Look, I believe Cecil generally wants to save the world, but the problem is, just like Debbie explains, everything else comes second to that. Cecil is the kind of character that will commit an immoral act to achieve something that is morally good. I perfectly understand his reasoning, but the way he handled things was horrible. You can dislike Cecil all you want, but let's not act like it didn't pay off during the Invincible War. One of the most intense moments within Invincible is the attack on Earth orchestrated by Angstrom Levy. His goal? To tarnish the reputation of our Mark Grayson by unleashing an army of over 20 Invincible variants who came from the multiverse. So we have 20 Mark variants rampaging across the planet, killing and destroying everything in their path. Now you might ask yourself, how does this relate to Cecil being right? As I was watching season 3, I noticed that even though we were experiencing everything from Mark's perspective, the narrative itself was painting a different story. Let me explain. For example, within episode 3, right after Mark's and Cecil's conversation, we get a deeper look into Cecil's backstory when he was younger and more in line with Mark's belief. But over time, you can see that he adopted this pragmatic mindset. Additionally, we saw a short story about these two criminals trying to leave their life of crime behind them by working an honest job. But when push comes to shove, despite their best efforts, they are forced into a life of crime to survive. This reinforces the idea that not everyone's lost cause. Some people generally want to change but can't. They just need the opportunity to. Because some people are worth rehabilitating. That's how real progress is made. So you might be asking yourself, what does that have to do with the Invincible War? In retrospect, Cecil's precaution regarding Mark ultimately saved way more lives. Think about it, Cecil had every reason to be concerned about Mark. After all, Mark failed to stop Omni-Man in season 1. Of course, Cecil wasn't about to make the same mistake twice, especially that he knows there's gonna be an army of Viltrumites coming to Earth. When it comes to him finding any sliver opportunity that might help against fighting a Viltrumite, he's gonna take it, even that means stopping Mark. And his decision of employing Sinclair and Darkwing definitely paid off. Remember, who sacrificed himself to save the Guardians of the Globe from a Mark variant? Exactly. And without Sinclair's reanimants, there would have been way more casualties on the battlefield. His choice to recognize and rehabilitate Darkwing and Sinclair paid off. Cecil using the reanimant as a deterrent to stop Mark paid off. If Cecil didn't do what he did, everyone would have been fucked. Especially when we have the world's strongest hero hiding out when the world's being attacked by his variants. What did Cecil do? He could have forced Mark, but no, he let him be. Because at the end of the day, it's way more of his responsibility of keeping the Earth safe, not Mark. I don't care. This has gotta be the worst thing Mark could have done. In mind, his brother Oliver was out there fighting. His mom was out there hiding, but he decided to stay with Eve in a facility that he knows is damn near Mark-proof. Come on now. So it turns out that Mark's original concerns didn't hold up during the war. But I don't fully agree with how Cecil handled things. I do believe he was on the right track. So if I would take a definitive side, I would side with Cecil. After all, we can either be the good guys or the guys who save the world. And if you made it this far, comment with the word Viltrumite. And once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Even after this video, I do plan on making even more Invincible content. So look out for that. I'm your host, Take It, and we do a little reviewing around here. Peace out.